We're going to start with Bill Shackman and Emily Michelson. They have lived in St Andrews in Fife for 11 years. Together, they serve as honorary lay chaplains to the Jewish Student Society at the University of St Andrews, where Emily is a lecturer in early modern European history. Bill has taught Torah in synagogue schools and universities in Chicago, New York, Jerusalem, Florence, and Salt Lake City. Well traveled. He plays guitar. Do you take that with you everywhere you go, Bill? And bouzouki, and is also an avid paddleboard surfer. So there you go. That gives a flavour. But over to Bill and Emily now to tell you about their Jewish life in Fife.
All right. Hello, everybody. I guess so. Well, as you could tell from the introduction, we've lived all around the world. We're both transplants from the States. I'm originally from Chicago.
I'm from Boston.
But we've lived here for 11 years in St. Andrews. Emily's a lecturer in history at the University of St. Andrews. And I guess, I don't know, as I thought about kind of what I wanted to share, it's in a way, it's tempting to just talk about how wonderful our, life in Scotland is, because we really do love it here. But Danielle Betts, who helped organize, said we have to leave some room to complain as well. So I really feel like, and part of this might be my background in Jewish mysticism, but I really think in paradoxes. And there are many paradoxes, I think, that we've experienced living a Jewish life here in Scotland. We both come from different backgrounds, but are, traditionally observant, but ideologically progressive, I guess would be the best way to put it, kind of egalitarian, but traditional. And I guess kind of the first paradox that comes to mind when thinking about our Jewish life in Scotland is how lonely, in a sense, it's been here, that we both kind of have felt isolated, both Jewishly as well as, from the secular culture here as well. We keep Shabbat strictly, we're Shomrei Shabbat, and that has created a very kind of insular family life. But that as well kind of has stunted, I think, a lot of potential friendships. I can't think of how many times we've had friends who said, "Oh, let's get together on Saturday." Well, we can't get together on Saturday, or let's
even
go.
call us.
Yeah. And for the children as well, we have 3 kids, and that presents its own set of issues. Birthday parties and like we've all missed a lot of opportunities to develop friendships. But I guess the flip side of that is that by creating this kind of insular structure, we've also been able to allow people into that structure in a very deep and meaningful way. Most years, and we always have guests over for Shabbat, and I think most of the years that we've been here, there's always been someone who is observant or who's looking for a Shabbat experience, who kind of becomes a Ben Bait, a member of our family. And many of these people we now have relationships with that have extended well beyond their stay in St. Andrews, have come to family events, and have really begun, Ellie and John at this point feel like they're just extra members of our family. So it's allowed us to kind of foster a very deep connection with people, but also prevented us from fostering deep connections with people as well. So that's I guess the first paradox. I guess the the other thing that I thought about is that how demanding our Jewish life here has been. That we're really kind of feel like we're on our own. We've been forced to kind of rely just on ourselves. And that has, yeah, I mean, we make our own challah.
He makes the challah.
Yeah. But, you know, even beyond that, I mean, our level of kashrut observance, you know, means we make all our own food, essentially, make our own hummus. And we also kind of create our own holidays as well. We do our own Megillah reading. We have, you know, Seder for, you know, as many people as we can fit in the house, and Hanukkah candle lightings here. I suppose the best example of this is really the bar mitzvah. Joseph, our son, turned 13 a year and a half ago, and he felt very strong. And there was a lot of pressure from family. Let's do the bar mitzvah in Israel. Let's do the bar mitzvah elsewhere. But he felt very strongly that he's from here, he lives here, and he wants his bar mitzvah to be at home. And we really we held a service at the university chaplaincy. We had family come from all around the world. Everyone who ever said, "Oh, I'd love to come to Scotland," use this opportunity to come. And we did it all on our own, which was an immense challenge, because we have family who expected all kinds of different things.
Yeah, I like to joke that the same person is not usually making the table decorations and learning the laning and booking the hotels. Like, usually you can divide that up, right? And leading services. But there were very few people who could do any of those things. And, you know, we got lots of help, but it felt very much like a DIY bar mitzvah. And it was a little lonely in the making of it, and then really, really beautiful in its execution. When we had it, it was the most moving event, I think. It was much more moving even than I was expecting, and I was expecting a lot.
Yeah, you say it's DIY. I mean, I suppose the flip side of the demands that self-reliance has placed on us is that it's allowed us to kind of define our own Judaism, both for ourselves and for our family. So we get to kind of create the model of Judaism that we want to see. You know, as I said, it's kind of egalitarian, traditional, and you know, however we envision it, you know, we get to create that. So it's, you know, it offers an incredible opportunity as well. We can't complain about the synagogue leadership because there's no one that we can complain about.
The show we don't go to is our show.
And so, yeah, it's very challenging, I suppose, to find community. You know, like we do feel a sense of kinship with the other Jews here. There are other Jews scattered throughout Fife and in Tayside, and we've connected with a lot of those Jews and feel you know, a sense of camaraderie. Not always kind of the same vision of Judaism, but we always kind of manage to kind of come together in a way that works, hopefully for the most, you know, benefit of everyone. But then have also kind of had to look outside of our community, our local community, for other kind of like-minded kind of kinship Jewishly. So like we go to Limud, the festival in Birmingham every year. That's kind of become a staple of our Jewish life in the UK. And you know, where we find other people who kind of share similar values, I suppose. And I've also kind of turned outside to a larger community for our children as well, to kind of have strong identity forming Jewish experiences. the kids go to summer camp in the States with their cousins. We used to go for Pesach. We would go to camp with
My parents.
parents. And the kids have had,
Right. We go to Israel where we have family more and more often
Yeah.
now also.
and the kids have had online tutors for years and years now. It's funny as everyone kind of now turns to Zoom and Skype. Like our kids have been learning Hebrew and Jewish, material online for as long as we can remember. So I don't know, those are kind of, I think, some of the central paradoxes here. For me, synagogue had always kind of been a very important staple in my whole existence. I would go to synagogue to find community, to find a sense of belonging, and a common purpose with other people, as well as to experience, worship, to experience a sense of reverence and love and fear. And living here in Scotland, I've had to kind of turn, I think, or reevaluate kind of the primacy of synagogue in forming my Jewish identity, or informing those pieces of my identity. So it's fun, like I mentioned the guitar and surfing, because those have kind of come to be my new synagogue. Like I really felt like when we moved here, I became very attached to the local session. There's a group of folk musicians who meet every week. And that's really my shul. That's where I go to join other people with a sense of belonging and common purpose to make music together. And surfing as well, although it's more
That's
of a loner. Yeah, exactly. That's where I go to daven. I feel a sense of worship and reverence for nature and a kind of primal experience of love and fear that I used to turn to synagogue for.
In terms of paradoxes, well, I'll also add, when he surfs and feels love and fear, I just feel fear. But that's not Jewish, that's just marital. No, so the paradox for me is that on the one hand, I've moved to Scotland and I know that there's pretty much nobody I will meet in my daily life who has any sense of what, of the world that we left, right? Not only growing up in a Jewish suburb with, lots of shuls and kosher supermarkets and things, but also living a really active Jewish life in my 20s, where my friends were the people where we just sort of rotated who had Shabbos lunch with whom, right? No one's going to understand that world here. But on the other hand, I can show it to them, right? I can be an ambassador for Judaism. I can make Judaism less unfamiliar to people who've never encountered it otherwise. And for my kids, I always assumed that they would grow up having free reign of a shul, that all the old shul ladies would love them, or at least not be too annoyed at them, that they would feel like it was a second home, that they would grow up to lead children's services. And that's not going to happen. And even if we could magically land right now in a really vibrant Jewish community, our kids have been out of one for their whole lives. So they would no longer fit into that. And there are times when that still hits really hard. But on the other hand, they're never going to doubt how important it is to them that our family's Jewish, because they're the only Jewish children in St. Andrews. And they have grown up knowing that that's something everyone will know about them. And in some ways, and to differing extents with different children, it has made them more aware, more curious, less needing to fit in all the time, because they never will all the time. And I think that in many ways that's a benefit, right? If you know that you're never going to fit in, you don't have to try. I will never sound Scottish, no matter how long I live here. But that also means that, I can just embrace my eccentricities and my other ones, and don't have to erase them. So it's a constant battle, I think, in my head, what I've given up versus what I've gained. On the other hand, I cannot think of a lovelier place to live than Scotland in lots and lots of ways. And we're really happy with the life that's been allowed to us here.
That sounds like a very positive place to stop. So thank you for that. I don't think we've got any questions in the chat for you yet, but I just wonder whether you plan to stay on in St Andrews, or if you can visualize moving back to a bigger community at some stage.
So if you're on the academic job market, there is no planning.
Right, okay.
And we no longer have a home base in the States. My family made Aliyah, most of them, Bill's family is sort of scattered. So there's not one place we could move back to. So I just don't plan anymore. We're here for as long as we're here, and we've been here for 11 years, and this is the longest I've lived anywhere since I left home. Wow. So here we are, and we like it.
Okay. Well, I think it's been very lucky for Scotland, and it's been a pleasure. I don't know you very well, Emily, but it's been lovely getting to know Bill, and having your influence has been a definite benefit for Scotland. And I love the idea that you're making Jewish life, other people aware of Jewish life by actually meeting, real life Jewish people. Yeah, that's great. So thank you both so much for that.